Well, hello everybody. Welcome back to another Bodacious Rant. If you ever get stranded on an island, I think the movie we're going to talk about is basically saying, treat that person with some respect. You know, just treat anybody with respect. Whether they're the weird person in your office, that one nerdy kid in school, because you never know what could happen. But thank you everybody for another episode of Bodacious Rant with Burn and Rye. We are sponsored by no one. We have not gotten there yet, but if anybody watches this in the business world, feel free to send us a check and I will talk about your product depending on what it is, you know. I'm just kidding. But anyways, again, January is a very hit and miss month, as you've seen from our review from 28 Years Later, Bone Temple, and then to the most recent dumpster fire films, Mercy and So Return to Silent Hill, which it's so bad I want to erase it from my mind.
It's only been a week and I've already tried to forget about it.
But it's one of those things that are so bad I can't forget about it, and it just makes me frustrated. But not that bad, you know. And then this is another movie that just, like 28 Years Later, just reminds us, man, January is a very wild card month. And it's also by one of the best horror directors in the industry, in my opinion, Sam Raimi. And if you haven't guessed, we're talking about the latest Rachel McAdams, Dylan O'Brien film, Send Help. That just recently came out, so it's out everywhere. And we're not going to spoil it for you because this is definitely one of those movies, I'm going to say right now, you should go check out. Whether you're a fan of the actors or not, or the director, it's just such a great movie. So if you do happen to like it and you like tuning in, and maybe if you want to throw some money our way for donations, anything helps. I'm just kidding. Feel free to give us that thumbs up to show your support, ring the bell for notifications, and of course subscribe. We appreciate you all for tuning in and, you know, following us and all that good stuff. So thank you. So, like I was talking about earlier, or jesting about, you know, treating someone nice, Rachel McAdams plays a very overworked, very eager, strategic planning person. I guess an accountant. I'm not exactly sure what that would be in like the financial world or something like that, but and you know, she works for this company that Dylan O'Brien runs, and she is brought along on a business trip to help with a new proposition, essentially, when the plane goes down in the middle of the ocean, and she and him find themselves stranded on this island, and given they definitely are at odds with each other, they have to find a way to survive, and essentially it becomes like a kill or be killed story if you haven't gotten that from the trailers. And this is why I was like kind of on the fence about this one, because I feel like the trailers made it seem like it kind of made it seem like a generic story in a way, in my opinion. But I shouldn't have doubted it because Sam Raimi is back at the helm, and he's done some great ones like the Evil Dead movies, Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, and Drag Me to Hell, which I think is one of the films that gets circulated in most conversations when it comes to horror, especially the last like 20 years. And just, I haven't really seen Rachel McAdams in a horror film. I know she was in that movie Red Eye with Cillian Murphy. Dylan O'Brien, he was in that Monsters movie, but I don't think I've seen him in anything horror. So I think this was a nice pair of roles for both of them. They really had a lot of fun with this. Dylan O'Brien was just the perfect a-hole character, like typical corporate businessman, but I think this is definitely one of his strongest roles, where we really get to see him kind of play around with the gray area. And same with Rachel McAdams, too. She was both quirky, hilarious, very cringy in some scenes, and just scary, too, when it got down to it. So I had a lot of fun with this. I kind of went into it with little expectations, but I was blown away. Bern, what did you think about this one? Were you like me, where you thought it was kind of whatever, or were you really excited for it because it's Sam Raimi?
You mean in terms of the excitement coming into it, right?
Yes, that's what I mean. I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah. I mean, yeah, I would say fairly excited for the movie, just for the reasons that you listed. I mean, we got Sam Raimi directing an original horror movie, which he hasn't done in about 17 years. Like you mentioned, Drag Me to Hell, that came out in 2009. So it's been a long time since he's done just straight up horror. I know Multiverse of Madness kind of like played around with those elements here and there, but it being a Marvel movie, again, the directors rarely have a lot of like creative input, and it was a more watered down version of what we typically get from a straight up Raimi horror film. So I was looking forward to that. Rachel McAdams and Dylan O'Brien are two actors who I think are both really good, and this movie sort of just like showcasing them, these two characters alone together on an island. It was pretty right for it to be like a nice showcase of their talents, and again with Raimi involved, it was interested to see like how crazy this could get. And man, this movie, I'm glad it's on the other side of January movies, where the movies we saw last week severely disappointed us. This one really, I had a great time with this one at the movies, and I'm glad to say that. I think Sam Raimi here, again, it feels like he hasn't lost a step. If you're looking for a lot of his more gooey, gross tendencies, you'll get some of that. But I think what he really does well here is capture sort of the journeys of these two characters, and really showcases Rachel McAdams and Dylan O'Brien's acting talents. And I think the script does a good job of servicing them as well, because you have these two characters alone on an island. You have to find a way to make that interesting for a little bit over an hour and a half. And I think every decision that they make along, like throughout the movie, kept it fresh and kept it fun. I saw a lot of people trying to compare this to movies like Mercy or movies like Castaway. And while you can say that there are some similarities to those two, I think this movie does a good enough job to sort of weave when in different directions and take you down exciting different paths. That it left me sort of like trying to predict what was going to happen, but it kept surprising me along the way, which was a lot of fun. Rachel McAdams does such a great job of like when we see her journey in this movie, just like you mentioned, her being sort of this very timid, very awkward character, and seeing how that changes throughout the movie. If you've seen the posters, you kind of get an idea of where that's gonna go, but that sort of transition through the movie is very interesting, and Dylan O'Brien has a ton of fun weaving from that sort of frat bro jerk guy to sort of like a wimpy little baby whiny boy, so like going from back and forth between those two, does it very convincingly, and I'm sure he had a ton of fun in this role. So yeah, overall I would say I had a really great time with this movie. It was a very brisk movie. It was one that had those nice little spurts of Raimi-isms when it comes to like the horror and the gore. Again, this is not really a scary movie. But the situation itself and sort of the whole idea of like being stuck on a place with the last person you would want to be with, it sort of plays into those aspects in a really fun way. So yeah, I mean, I had a great time with this one.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with you. The comparison with Mercy, though, that's an interesting one for whoever does that. It kind of reminded me a lot about this movie with Kiersey Clemons called Sweetheart. I don't know if you've ever seen that one, but that one was on Netflix for a long time, so people should check that out. But that was a very similar story where she gets trapped on an island, like stuck on an island as well. But
sorry, I misspoke. I meant Misery.
Misery
with Kathy Bates, the Stephen King. No, I had that horrible movie on the mind, and it just mixed the two. But yes, Mercy. You see,
they're so bad we can't forget them. That's the worst part. Okay, Misery.
Yes, Misery.
I haven't seen that one, but I kind of know of it, so I could definitely see that. But yeah, I got a lot of like. I kind of thought it was a mix of like Sweetheart and then also Drag Me to Hell, just because it's very. This was something like, because the thing about the last week's movies and how awful the effects were. Thinking about it, Sam Raimi's movies, aside from Multiverse of Madness, the effects are very like. They're not the most high quality stuff, but honestly, I think it works for his movies because it's really the story and the characters and some of the scares or the situations you go to watch. So, like some of the effects, while they may not be as like top notch quality, they add character to it. Like they kind of suspend that disbelief for you in a way. So there are a couple moments I could ignore the bad effects just because I'm like, that's just Sam Raimi, that's his style. So I can forgive that. But Rachel McAdams is definitely the this is just I think why I really liked it, because they're a very gray movie, very gray characters that you kind of don't know who you want to root for. Given I loved Rachel McAdams, I was definitely on her side, but Dylan O'Brien does some good job with moments of like, man, you kind of see why he is the way he is in a way. Um, and I just like that Sam Raimi, even though this is a very messed up movie, he still managed to squeeze in some good humor, because I was laughing out loud a couple times. So was the theater. Like, there are a lot of audible like gross sounds, because there are some moments where it's like, oh, this is nasty. Like, why is this happening? But I had a lot of fun with this, and I'm really glad it surprised me. And for that, all that we've discussed, I'm definitely giving a hard 4 out of 5. I highly recommend it. I did see it in Dolby. So I would say check it out, just because, slightly better imagery, sound, but you could see it whenever. You could even see it on a $5 Tuesday and you'll still have fun with it. It's just a very well done film. I hope Sam Raimi keeps having more fun with his original stories, because, yeah, like Burns said, Drag Me to Hell came out in '09, so it's been a while. But, it was worth the wait. So definitely recommend this one for sure.
Yeah, it's been a while, but he certainly hasn't lost his touch on that end. And to speak on the effects, I'm definitely there with you, where some of them like do like kind of like take you out of the movie for a moment. But again, just because of like his filmography and the way that he makes movies, and again, sort of how that plays into the movie itself, without trying to give away too much, a lot of the times the quirky, weird, goofy effects are played for laughs in his movies. Where things like, even when they're in like horror moments, there's still like a silliness to it, and that's what's always been fun about Raimi movies, is there's always an element of just like someone having just fun behind the camera, and that comes across definitely when, as an audience, someone who's watching it. So to see that here again, it feels fresh because it's been such a long time, but at the same time, it's like, okay, this is a director who's perfected his own craft, and is giving us another glimpse into it. So I really did enjoy that. But yeah, like everything that you and I mentioned, from the directing to the script, to the acting, the Danny Elfman score was a lot of fun too. Just overall, it was a good time at the movies, and certainly one of those that helps wash the taste out of your mouth from what we've gotten in the previous weeks. So I'm glad that it ended off the month of January on a good note. So for me, this one is going to be a 4 out of 5 as well. Highly recommend it. Like Rye said, if whatever format you want to watch it in, just if you're looking for a good time at the movies, this one is the one you want to check out for sure.
Yeah, this one, or 28 Years Later, so far the best movies of the year. So definitely go check those out. But yeah, 4 out of 5 for me and Byrne for this latest Sam Raimi flick. So like I said, for those of you who did happen to catch it this weekend, or if you have another thing that you like about Sam Raimi or the actors, feel free to throw that in the comments. No spoilers, of course, but until next time, everyone, we're going into the month of love and Black History Month with February. So, as always, everyone, stay bodacious and keep on ranting for us.
Absolutely, everybody. Be good, be safe, and as always, we'll catch y'all on the next one.